Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here today, April 6th, 2024, live on the radio talking about trustees, how to decide which trustee to use, how to choose a trustee, whether it be a person or a corporation or a financial institution. And this is our fourth segment today, and so we're going to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Today I want to talk about Lee Greenwood. You've probably heard him mentioned in the news recently because presidential candidate Donald J. Trump is selling, or at least endorsing, a Bible that has Lee Greenwood in it. I bought it because I wanted to see what all the hype was about, and it's the King James version. I read from it in the previous segment when I was talking about Matthew 25:14. But what I didn't know, I didn't hear on the news or the radio, some additional features that this Bible has. In the back, it has the beginning of the chorus of Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. It says, I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. So he has that printed in his writing, his handwriting, with his printed signature there. Then it also has the Declaration of Independence for the United States, dated July 4th, 1776. Then it has the Constitution printed out. And it has the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. And so I kind of like this because I usually talk about the Constitution and I usually talk about the Bible. So now I have both. I usually don't read the King James version, but maybe I'll have to bring a different version in conjunction. But the reason I wanted to talk about this in the legacy segment is because that song is very well known, and I think that that's going to be part of his legacy. I read that it was written 40 years ago, and it's still being played today. That's how you know a song is good, is because it keeps being played over and over and over. Okay, let's go back to learning about trustees. I was talking about corporate institutional trustees. Here are some red flags when hiring a professional to be your trustee. Do they have adequate resources? Because they need to know something about investments and tax and keeping track of things. They have to be a good bookkeeper. They have to keep track of records. And you want to make sure that they're not too busy to handle your trust, because if they're too busy, then maybe the beneficiary is not going to get the time and attention that you want them to have. And so you want to name somebody who's got time and is going to put in the time to take care of your beneficiaries. And this is another reason you might want to pay them to do that job, because if they're not paid, maybe they won't give it the attention that it needs. Remember I was talking about different purposes for the trust? Well, some trusts are revocable, some trusts are irrevocable, meaning they cannot be changed. Some trusts are for general needs, some trusts are for supplemental needs, and so you might want to name different people to be trustee of those different kinds of trusts. That's where you need specific legal advice. But if you have a question, I have a few more minutes. You can call the radio station right now, April the 6th, 2024, at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, or you can text Todd at 210-538-4770. Text Todd, that's me, at 210-538-4770, and I might be able to answer your question live on the air. Now, once the trustee starts acting, they might need to develop a relationship with a financial advisor or planner, a tax accountant, and maybe an attorney. And maybe it takes a lot of effort and instruction getting started to understand their duties for the trust. But once they have that understanding, maybe they won't need so much time and attention of the professionals later on. But getting started definitely requires a steep learning curve. And so we at the law firm, we counsel attorneys. We counsel trustees. We give them legal advice, and we start by reading the trust, helping them to understand the terminology, helping them to understand the purpose for the trust or the reason for the trust. We also call that onboarding, where you are preparing them. So we help them by developing a summary of the trust or an abstract of the trust. We talk about the roles of the different positions, the trustee, the beneficiary. There might be different trustees. There might be the distribution trustee, the investment trustee, the independent trustee, and there might be a trust protector. We'll talk about that another time. Talk about how to be a good administrator of the trust, following state law, federal law, tax law, and when can a beneficiary receive the benefits of the trust? When can they receive income? When can they receive distributions of principal from the trust? How to decide, how to use discretion. Many times the trust provides the trustee with discretion to decide when to give these benefits and when not. So the times when the trustee might need advice is when bad things happen. Like I said, a living revocable trust oftentimes has a section where what happens if the creator of the trust becomes disabled or incapacitated. Well, the person that's named successor should probably meet with an attorney to talk about what are their duties at that time. And then after death, schedule another appointment. Talk about what are the duties at that time. Wrap up that person's affairs, pay the bills, and then what's next. Sometimes what's next is another trust for the beneficiaries. See, I could have a living revocable trust for my life, and after I'm gone, then I might set up another trust for my kids. So that's a different set of rules that would apply to me as to what would apply to my kids. And so the trustee needs to know the difference, and they need to know what are they supposed to do. And you want to make sure that you do a good job, because the person that named you as trustee had trust in you. They believed in you. They're relying on you to do your job there. And you want to do a good job because you're a reliable, trustworthy person. And if you do a bad job, then the beneficiaries can file a lawsuit against you. So that's what we don't want. We don't want you to get in trouble. We want the terms of the trust. We want the purpose of the trust to be carried out, right? So, how much authority does the trustee have over the stuff in the trust? Well, it's kind of like ownership. They're the ones that would technically have the title, so to speak, but they can't use it for themselves. They have to use it for the beneficiary. They might have the authority to sell assets or buy assets. Think about what if the trust owned rental properties, and after the creator of the trust passes away, maybe rental properties are not good investments anymore. Maybe the stock market is doing way better, and maybe it would be a good idea for the successor trustee to sell all those properties and put it into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Or maybe the reverse is true. Maybe the stock market's going down, and maybe real estate is a much better investment. Well, then maybe it would be in the trustee's best interest. Well, not the trustee's best interest, but the beneficiary's best interest to liquidate those investments and purchase real estate or oil and gas. So the trustee must always be keeping track of what would be in the beneficiary's interest. The trustee needs to meet financial obligations, paying taxes. If some of those trust assets have outstanding loans or mortgages, well, those have to be paid. Covering administrative expenses like paying the accountant, fulfilling distributions. The trustee has the authority and duty to communicate with the beneficiary. If the beneficiary submits a request to pay for education, then the trustee would evaluate, well, how much is that going to cost? How much money do we have in the trust? What's the economy doing? Are these assets appreciating? Are they generating a lot of income? How old is this beneficiary? How long are they likely to live? And do I have a duty to balance the needs of the current beneficiary with the needs of the remainderman beneficiary? And I wanted to say one more thing. You don't have to be a Rockefeller or a Kennedy to have a trust. You just have to have a reason to have a trust, a purpose. And so that's what you need to think about in your own mind and talk to your attorney and your friends and your family about. And then if you have questions, you can always call Marquardt Law Firm at 210-530-4278. Thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.